Kelsey.
And I'm Kirsten, and
we
we're
are
the Joy Junkies.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Today, we want to talk about joy and simplicity, the two of those things and how they go together and how they're connected.
I like that. I like how joy and simplicity are connected. Without simplicity, I think it would be hard. We'd be really distracted. We wouldn't have the freedom to connect with joy. Simplicity is really tied to the pillars of joy. Remember what those pillars are?
Yeah, we have the pillars of forgiveness. We have the pillar, and not necessarily in this order, but all four pertaining to joy and what holds up joy. We have forgiveness, we have self-compassion, we have gratitude, and innocent perception.
Yes.
So all four of those. And we already have elaborated on those in previous episodes. And if you do not know what we're talking about, feel free to go back and look at what those are, because there's some really interesting material.
We sometimes need to.
Yeah.
So simplicity is really, it's about allowing things to not be complex, not overanalyzing, not pushing towards something that draws us into our negative emotions, those things that are joy blockers. I think joy blockers are what makes everything complex, right? Innocent perception is really
Simple.
looking at the world in a simple way. It's like childlike connectedness to the things that are around us.
And it's like you have one main focal point as well. There's just one thing that you're really focusing on, or one thing that's exuding the joy.
That's right. And I think forgiveness is one of those things that uncomplicates things, right? Forgiveness, it takes all those negative emotions and kind of flattens them out and says, I'm not going to hold that against you anymore. I'm going to release my rights.
Just going to let it go. And there's a simplicity in just letting it go.
Yeah. And when you talk about self-compassion.
Well, I was going to say, and you come back to what really matters.
Oh,
because,
yes.
And it's like, and coming back to what really matters is that one central focus, the relationship. It's one relationship where you're extending forgiveness, usually. So it's like, you're coming back to what matters. And so there's a simplicity in that. There really is, because you're letting go of what you don't... of what complicated the relationship, what made it not a simple connection of love and joy.
I love that. So simplicity, joy is simplicity and connection. I love it.
And it might feel deep, like have a really deep, like a lot of depth, but it's still a simple connection because it's just two people seeing and knowing and understanding and hearing each other.
I'm thinking about all of the ways that we use to connect our computers. I have a computer at work, and it's like the old kind that has to be connected with wires. And it's so amazing to me how many wires were necessary to connect that computer to
now think of a phone
power.
now.
Yeah, right.
There's no
to
comparison.
Be connected, you don't even need a wire. I mean, obviously, there's some things that you need to know about, and I'm not saying it's not complicated, but the connection itself isn't complicated by wires, and I love that from a simplicity standpoint. A couple of episodes ago, we talked about the hotspot. You know,
People appreciated that.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good feedback
too.
from that. So when your joy is on, your hotspot's really lit up, and your Wi-Fi, your connection's
All
really
your
strong.
bars are there, and so you're into the depth of relationship pretty much as deep as it can be on a joy-based level.
Right.
Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, that coffee thing is super loud. One of the things that Kelsey and I were talking about before we came on to tape was this example of focusing on what really matters. And so there are some things that you've been studying that help you to talk about that.
Yeah, totally. So I know this may not pertain to everyone, but you might know somebody who is in the religious life, or is a brother or a sister or a priest or a nun or something like that. And I think this actually does take place in a lot of other things as well. But this common example would be that a lot of religious take a vow of poverty. And that includes a lot of different things, including clothing, food, money, all the like. But it's a vow of poverty. And what it is, in and of its essence, is stripping away the things that don't matter. And so there's a tendency to not be focused on so much that's outside of relationship, really. Relationship, it really keeps that central and part of like the mission of that order, or like the mission of the order, or the purpose of their vocation or whatnot. So So there's a vow of poverty, and there's a lot of different reasons for it, but one of those main ones would be is to really clear, like declutter what doesn't matter in the heart. And so you really are focusing on what matters. And again, a lot of that comes down to relationships. So there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing and why they do what they do. And a lot of it is linked to actually have more joy, because if you have a lot of the clutter out, there's more room for that joy. There's more room for that love, that peace, all those things that they want to cultivate in their interior life. There's more room for that. So actually having that vow of poverty makes more room for joy.
So I like that. I haven't necessarily taken a vow of poverty, but I work for a not-for-profit, and my motivation is to help people. I don't want anybody ever to feel like they're alone in the distress of mental illness. It's a very beautiful heart desire. And in order to do that, I have to have less clutter in my life. Otherwise, that would be a burden. So I haven't taken a vow of poverty. But
It's a similar concept.
it is a similar concept. And I have to realize, too, that sometimes the hard things bring us joy, but we overcomplicate things. And when we overcomplicate it, it steals our joy.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Because you can forget all about the main point.
it is. And so I think, in a world where we have to have the latest and greatest, and we're always searching for that next new thing, and our focus is on things rather than people, and rather than relationships, and what people bring to us versus what we're giving.
And even instant gratification and how that blocks from the depth of where you can go relationally, I think.
Right.
Because think about how many times you know, and we've talked about this before with pseudo joy, but just like finding a substitute to that.
Oh, so if we're going to find true joy, we're going to have to walk past the pseudo joy, at least occasionally. I mean, we're here having coffee, so I mean, we're
Drinks.
incorporating pseudo joy into our true joy.
But there's the real deal present as well.
That's right.
It's not a substitute.
That's
it's
right.
it's a and, like plus.
It is, and I think that that's one of the things that we lose track of is the fact that if we didn't operate with forgiveness between us, if we didn't have self-compassion for ourselves, we couldn't offer it to each other.
True.
If we didn't live an act of gratitude, we couldn't share joy with each other. And I don't know, we do a lot of innocent perception stuff with each other. She appreciates my innocent perception, and sometimes if you're following me on Facebook, I do innocent perception posts, like
Nature.
fireflies, or any of my
Fireflies,
nature
we
posts.
love fireflies and flowers. I could go
But
on.
those are places that we connect. But if we don't stop and see them, if we don't let our life be simple enough to stop and see them, then we're not going to experience them, and we won't be able to share joy, and that is essential.
So yeah, there's like a simple moment of stopping, and it is that's just that one simple moment of you're consciously choosing, you're setting your intention.
Right. Oh, I love that word. You're setting your intention to live
stop and
simple,
notice.
so you can stop and finish it. You can stop
Smell
and
the roses.
That's right.
That's
smell
what
the
I was
roses.
about to say actually.
Yeah.
How like you've probably heard of that expression before, stop and smell the roses, and it sounds nice and sounds so cliche, but really there's a lot to be said for that one simple statement that might get thrown around a lot or maybe overused or whatnot, but it's really important.
It really is.
And there's a lot of meaning just packed in that one simple statement. Stop and smell the roses.
It's true. One of the things that we had shared maybe with each other, or we had seen through a mutual friend on Facebook, was this little quote, and it was a girl, and she was playing in the rain.
Yes,
Talk about that.
There's this, okay. There's this little girl, and she's probably, I don't know, I think she's like around 6 years old. And it's pouring rain outside, and she's in either like a leotard or a ballet thing or a swimsuit, and she has her arms out like this, and she's like, yeah! And the look on her face is just like extreme excitement and really joy. She's very cultivated interiorly, and the caption on it says something to do with how that inner child is within you still, within all of us, and so it says like. Something, I know the second line. The first line is like, see that little girl? She's still in you. And then it's like ... Let's go get her.
That's right.
And so it's actually setting an intention to invite and welcome that part of you that can perceive innocently. And so I just think we both think it's a beautiful description of I guess, potential joy.
There's
Really.
a
Hopeful.
great delight in connecting with yourself and your inner child, and that person that isn't bogged down by the cares of the world. And that's what I want you to do, all of our lovely viewers. Even if it's not what brings us joy, even if it's not what connects you to us, find the things that connect you to others
And to yourself.
and realize that there is going to be risk to it. Anytime that you enter a relationship, there is risk and there is a challenge. And I want to make sure that we understand that. Just because we're giving all this great advice about finding joy, and it's worth it. That's the thing. It's worth it. It's worth it to enter simplicity.
There is
to
a risk, though, so that
connect.
actually brings up a good point.
Yeah.
'Cause there's a bold pursuit of freedom that can happen. Like, if you're just going to go into a creek and, heck, you don't know what's in there. I've done that so many times. There is a risk with that. But it's connecting me to nature, to myself, and to others. So there's, it's almost like a threefold joy. So there's, several bars going.
Yeah, you're all lit up and connecting.
All
so,
lit up.
So
It's
the big
awesome.
question this week, because we got to get to that,
Yes.
is what can you do to simplify your life and to find something that connects you to joy? What are you doing to do that? We actively do it every day, I think, but if it's not every day, it's multiple times per week. And so the big question for you is, what can you do to simplify your life and connect yourself with others and find joy? That's the big question.
It's a good question. I hope
like
you
it.
answer it.
Yeah, do answer it. You want to give our email address?
Yeah, if you'd like to email us with questions or comments or anything, you can do so by emailing joyjunkies@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page.
It's always
not
at
just
the
a group
end.
now, a page,
Yep,
which is
it's always
exciting.
at the end of the video, so you can
So
get
that
at the end.
link, you can go straight there, and all the episodes are there.
Yes. Thanks, you guys. Have a great week.